Ties are supposed to be an oddity in free enterprise racing. A once in a blue moon occasion. Yet somehow, the highway to the Threemus Zone has brought 2 of them in their races so far. Strange. Today, we're bringing you a rematch between profcory and pk4787, who tied within a second of each other with a time of 1 hour 14 minutes and 40 seconds. You don't see these very often, and we're bringing you their rematch because they deserve it. It was the original was done off stream, so we're bringing it to you today. My name's Boydrek. Behind the scenes, we've got Niabari on our restream today, and Maggie the Cat on commentary. Well, not on tracking, and with me on commentary, we've got another P, Pixel Tamer. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
We've got an interesting race here, haven't we?
We do. We've got a popular white mage to start. I think both of our runners will be happy with that, and we've got a interesting variety of objectives that could take our runners all over the place, to the moon, to underground, and back again.
Yeah. Defeat the bosses of Baronin. Don't need anything for that. Twin harp, so guaranteed music for everyone as long as we find it before the other 3 objectives are done. And on the moon, we've got the ribbon room, which seems to be a popular place for people to go anyway, because 2 bosses, lots of experience. 2 key items possibilities, and lots of experience. Rosa, boring start really. She gives too much to the table. She's got find a good bow and arrow for her. She's got DPS. She's got late game possibilities. Let's hope the rest of the characters are a little bit more interesting. Where's them Edwards? Where's them tellers without anyone else? Where's the Porums? That's what we need.
Well, if you give them Tellers and Porums, then they're able to learn Exit, and without having to go through the Tower of Zot, which may or may not be good, depending on your point of view.
Yeah, maybe. In terms of these 2 runners, though, we do have profcory, who's on a 1-0 record at the moment, and still got 4 races to play after this one. Good standing, though. Still got a few very difficult races to come, but a good start usually means a good finish if you bring that momentum across. pk4787 is currently on the end of his. This will be his last race. Got a 4-1 record. He's looking good to proceed into the next phase, the last 16.
That's right, but there's no such thing as a free race in these brackets, because everybody here is just so good at the game. Some people have had to fight tooth and nail to get here, and we've got a Kane as our second character.
We could see both of these runners pick up this Kane to start. Kane is a very versatile character, sort of in the same league as what Sid has become in this tournament, and can wear heavy armors, use a lot of equipment, and good little frontline damage dealer and tank.
Yeah, Sid has the advantage of higher health pool and lower agility, whereas Kane is a bit more specialized to be a damage dealer with a wide variety of weapons he can equip.
And, well, obviously, without the start of the game, we're going to see likely some little bits of divergence where people are going, where they want to loot first, what characters they want to check. So we're going to get a lot of information at the start, except they're going in the same place. Thanks, guys.
I have not seen a whole lot of Baron early plays in this tournament. With 3 characters, people usually tend to go straight for Mysidia.
Mysidia, or straight to the looting pool, which is the Watery Pass, usually, because there's a free character there and some fairly good loot, usually.
That's right. Watery Pass is one of the incentivized locations on this T-Pro flag set where you are more likely to find good equipment because it's an out-of-the-way area.
Well, Kane set. profcory has just found what is technically the best purchasable weapon for him in this game, or in this flag set, the Ogre Axe.
Yeah, nothing to complain about there. It's a very powerful one-handed weapon, the best of them that Sid can equip.
And not picking up the Sid, Kane should be more than enough to get you started in this.
There's the
For
form you
PK.
wanted.
Yeah, and there's a pawn. We're likely not going to see anyone else picked up unless it's likely going to be a Palom or a Teller right now.
Oh, it looks like we took that Sid over on Corey's side.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that is the third Sid of the seed now, between Baron and Watery Pass and now Mysidia.
Yeah, one Sid is usually plenty. profcory just might be wanting that little bit of extra punch that isn't available at Kane at the very start of the game. Jump is good, but you really want a little bit of oomph.
And Professor Corey finds Thor Raiders in the shop in Mysidia.
Those could be useful. Well, Kenyatso is usually a big stopping point for many a runner. Having 4 rages just helps that a little bit.
Yes, being able to dispel that wave attack with any character can potentially save your life in certain encounters. And there's our 4th Sid of the day.
Might be an overflow of Sids here.
And I believe we can thank Antidale's cat Pepper for this particular permutation of characters, as requested by our runners.
So
we're almost at engineer percent.
Yeah, with so many Sids at the start, no, obviously we've still got a lot of character checks to go. It makes me wonder if they only find these characters now, extra Sids and maybe Kanes, how they're going to work out a team from that. Kane is a given, and that you want at least once. Rosa, amazing and amazing person throughout the entire seed, but how do you feel a team outside of this?
I mean, A-Sid is good. He's got solid early game potential with his he starts at level 20 and he's got a decent hammer. He's pretty heavily equipment dependent, and oh look, it's Tala.
I wish I could say I'm more excited. I don't want to put this about against anything about this. It's been an amazing tournament, but Tala seems to be overpowered, in my opinion, in this. Watching all the races, Tala just seems to be overpowered. And yes, we've had all the things about him in the past, about him being not good, but in this, he's shined so much. Some races have been swung on just finding that Tala.
Yes, I vividly remember the second race for the hook route play-ins where I was frantically searching for Tela because we had a very jetty seed, and I believe Dathas won because he found that Tela quicker than anybody else.
Yeah.
Not to diminish his skills or anything, but in a 24-person race, you have to make those gambles, and those gambles can pay off.
Yeah. So, yeah. I don't want to really say it's not going to make this interesting because there's still a lot of this seed going to go. So I'm not going to say that, but it's going to make it a little bit more, shall we say, expected of what this tournament's come to see so far.
And we've got a question from chat about why Tela is so strong in these flags, and the main reason for that is we don't have access to Fusoya. He is not available in this tournament, so that means if you want early access to spells like Weak or Berserk or Virus or Tier 3 nukes, you need to grab the old cranky man.
Yeah, and an early Darkness Crystal with a Tela in your party just screams at you to go and do your grind early.
Yeah, and we've got the bonus round over at the Outline Cave.
Demist, a runner is always happy to see this. Yes, it's a boss, but at the end of this boss, back in Mist, Rydia's mother appears after you defeat the Demist, and suddenly you've got an extra key item opportunity, because the twin, what is normally the vanilla item from Edward, transfers over to Rydia's mother after defeating the the demist.
Speaking of the Twin Harp,
Okay. That's a required item.
it is. So Antlion Cave is probably required. There is a chance that we could forage and get to the moon without having to go through Antlion, but might as well take advantage of this key item while we've got it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to go for it straight away, though, because you usually have to have some good damage for that spot, because magic won't help.
Exactly. In order to have attack magic be useful at the Dark Elf spot, you usually need something on the level of Nuke.
Yeah.
Oh, there's underground access too. Antlion is full of value.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. So everyone's going to, so both of our runners are going to be able to go underground, do some fairly okay shop checks down there. This is S Pro, so we're going to see not the best items, but better items down there.
Right. In ungated shops on these flag sets, you can only get up to tier 3 items. Gated shops, such as those underground and on the moon, have access to tier 4 items. And if you are successful in foraging over at Coco's shop, he will give you access to tier 5 and 6 items.
Yeah. So you're not going to find brilliant stuff like Excaliburs or lightsabers or anything of that sort of light. I think Gungnir Spears as well, currently that sort of tier. But you're going to find some okay things. The Ogre Axe is usually the big one, but we've already seen one on profcory's side. PK hasn't got one yet, so he'll likely be looking for one.
Right. Tier 4 weapons you can get include the Ice Brand, the Blizzard Spear, the Longsword for Edge, Mute Daggers, a few different axes, so there's some interesting tools you can get there, but you're not going to get your tier 5 items, you're not going to get your Gungnir, you're not going to get your Lightsaber, some of the nice staves, so it definitely changes some of your strategies when you are unable to get some of those better weapons.
PK fighting the NPC bosses in Agate, not being able to get to the shop, went to drop the magma key, then went back on the second attempt, and then went back to the magma key well to okay. Just check how deep it was, I suppose.
And we see PK immediately diving into the Feymarch. Gonna do some looting on the way. Areas that have trap chests in them tend to also have better gear. So we're gonna probably see a bunch of looting, reset as soon as we encounter the trap chest, and then go do some more looting.
Yeah, like that sorcerer robe that just got picked out. That's a very nice piece of armor for a mage.
Yeah, that is endgame equipment right there.
Which you wouldn't find in a shop normally. We might see a few more open chests being opened in this sort of location, just in case we find a weapon for Kane in them. That's really Kane's big weakness at the moment. Although you're going to find the Ogre Axe for sale, you might want something with a bit better for him, because his strength growth isn't great. So a high-end weapon such as that Gungnir Spear, and we're talking the low end of his availability of weapons there, might actually be useful.
Yeah, Gungnir normally considered barely acceptable for endgame, but on these flags you've got to do with what you can get.
Obviously everyone wants a defense sword for him, but you're not going to be getting that every time.
And we did find the package at the free key item spot. We're seeing some decent defensive gear with samurai armor and wizard robes.
Yeah, black belt in there. That's actually really nice to see. Because of Kane, as I said, Kane doesn't have the greatest strength. A little bit of extra boost with that black belt giving 5 strength makes a lot of difference.
Yeah, and it does help with his vitality as well. So even though it doesn't have as high physical defense as some of the heavy armor he can normally get access to, it still does help him become a little bit tankier. Oh, well, that's a free Asura spot.
Yeah, they're both gonna see this, and they're gonna go into that. King, Queen, and Emblem only use Fire 2 and Fire 1. They're not going to be any threat in any spot. So PK is just going to wait this out, let them go through and end the fight themselves, and pick up an extra 15,000, 20,000 experience here.
That's right. In the vanilla game, you encounter these two in Upper Babel. They are Edge's parents. They've been mutilated by Dr. Luge, and eventually they regain their sense of selves and leave the battle so that Edge can have a chance to save the world.
I don't think he's going to be able to kill Teller in time. Strangely. The only thing he wants to do is drop Teller so Teller doesn't get experience and maybe use it as anchor later. But the damage output of these two right now just isn't good enough. So it might not happen.
Yeah, it looks like it's not going to happen. We might just have to deal with a Teller that's not base level.
Granted, he doesn't have a great experience curve, so he's not going to get a whole lot of experience levels out of this.
Oh, he got there.
Oh, there we go. But it still is a nice thing that he got it down. Just helps him out a little bit.
And 6 levels apiece for Rosa and Kane. That will make things just go a little bit easier.
profcory doesn't have that problem. He's not going to worry about a few extra levels on Sid. He's probably going to hold out for that Teller later anyway, having not gone to Hobbs.
That hourglass is not a key item, but it is a nice find.
Yeah, hourglasses are one of the items that you won't find under these flag settings normally in a shop. You may find a couple in a gated chest or two, but that hourglass opens up a lot of possibilities on a few boss areas.
Yes, they are tier 5 items. There's a chance that Kokol's shop could have them, but there is no reasonable way to bank on that.
Yeah, having one, if you want to do a trap chest for a little bit of experience infusion, is a good way of doing it. With a Teller, you're not really going to use it for that, but there's plenty of bosses which an hourglass can be used against.
Right, we've got whoever's at the Bagan spot. It's either the Kaipo Guards or the Baron Soldiers. We've got Dark Elf Phase 2. We've got the Calcabrina dolls can be stopped. So there's a variety of bosses that we can deal with, as you said.
Yeah, Dark Imps being another one, if they're in a high strength spot, can be a problem, and Hourglass just makes that a little bit more simpler.
And Job Dwarf is a... Sorry, go ahead.
Public Transportation Inspector. So he's just making sure the buses are okay.
So, seed officially validated. Were those mute knives for sale in Tom's shop there?
It was a mute knife as well, definitely. You're not really going to buy one of those unless you have an Edge on your team, because he can make the best use of it. For Kane, you're really hoping for something a little bit bigger.
Right, as far as attack power goes, it's kind of middling, but it does have that nice 4 times damage boost against mage-type enemies. And there's more mage-type enemies than you might expect. Asura is a mage-type enemy, the Baron Guards are a mage-type enemy.
The Mega Sisters as well. And PK has seen the boss, or the first boss, in Dwarf Castle, and that is Dark Knight Cecil. You don't want to be facing him there right at this moment. That is actually a fairly high damaging spot in terms of strength, so his waves will be coming out for around 400 apiece. His team can't stand that at the moment.
Yes, but we do see a nice find on the weapon shop there. Dwarf axes and ogre axes, so back row Kane is finally on the menu.
Yeah, PK is going to be liking that. Didn't find that ogre axe in Baron. and because it didn't go to the back bushes. But picking one up here
Yep.
definitely
Got
will
access to
speed them along.
cabins as well.
Cabins are one of those elusive items I always find. Having watched and played a couple of these types of seeds, cabins just don't appear when you want them to. And it's a little bit odd.
Well, cabins are a tier 4 item, so on S Pro you're gonna not find them as easily as you would on the group flags we had earlier.
Yeah, I usually find it that they just don't appear when tents don't appear as well. So you get the double whammy, and you have to really struggle for your recovery. But Sheila 1 is now on the table for PK, going to go up there and see what she has. But likely going to check the fight here, because neither of them have done football just yet.
Yeah, I was just looking at my notes, and yeah, we don't know what the full defense entails yet.
Yeah, and I think I know why they did that Baron check at both runners did the Baron check at the start. The bosses of the Baron Inn are one of our objectives today.
That's true.
So they might have just been wanting a quick peek to see if they could find out what the boss was. And with it being a lunar sparkle, they're completely in the dark still.
Well, they now know that Baron Inn is not the D-Lunars.
D-Lunars, with the way we've got up for trivializing this fight now with Star Veils and the lunar foil threats, this isn't too bad. Plus we've got Cure 2s, because they're undead, they will take extra damage from that. This isn't really too big of a fight here, especially with the extra levels that they got from the fight against King Queen Nebula.
Yeah, this isn't so bad. I think especially if Kane is wielding a flame spear or something, because we saw him put out over 1,000 damage in one jump attack there.
So both of our runners are just about to finish this up. What item do we get? That.
It's useful, it's just not progression.
It is useful, or at least I would say it's more useful if they had seen more mages, but they've only seen that initial Rosa, one Porum, and the Teller. And a Protect Ring. Protect Ring's nice for Rosa, but again, not progression.
Yeah, but PK's Rosa is geared out at this point. The only thing she really needs is a nice staff.
Not completely necessary. Sometimes you just want, especially with just one damage dealer, you want her having a decent bow and arrow right now, just to help that, especially in these early spots, just finish these fights a little bit quicker.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I was looking more towards endgame, getting a bit ahead of myself, because we still don't have moon access, we haven't cleared any objectives yet.
Well, strangely enough, the Elven Bow, which many people consider the best sort of bow under this flag set, is actually good end-game gear because it gives a lot of protection against magic. So it's not as bad as you think on Rosa.
Okay, there's our 5th Sid. Oh, and it's Wario Sid too.
So, where's the characters that haven't appeared yet? I know we're on sort of the maybe flag, but having lots of Sids like this must be playing on the minds of our runners.
Yeah, let's see. The remaining character checks we have are the Moon, Eblin Cave, Dwarf Castle, the package. I think that's it. Oh, yeah. Baron Castle as well.
Yeah, they haven't checked the Sand Ruby Sand Ruby character either, so we don't know what that is. We've also got Zot, so there's a few still out there. It's just, are we going to see them?
Oh, also Giant the Babel, as pointed out in chat.
And apparently Maggie has seen the character in the bed, and it's a twin. So Sand Ruby might be prioritized if they find it, if they realize it's a Palom. Porum, I don't think they're going to worry too much. We've already seen one, and that both our runners have rejected it so far. They might go back for it later.
And we see Valvalis as the second spot here. She cannot get exclusive access to the underground, but we've already got our magnet key, so that doesn't mean a whole lot.
This is the back attack spot as well. Val here in tornado form gets full magic defense, full physical defense, basically a five evasion rolls. Yeah, this is a dangerous spot for her. Luckily, both of our runners have a cane, which can help this substantially.
Yes, but I believe it is music time over on Corey's side, so let's see what our bard has in store for us.
Okay, profcory. You want to put it any closer?
Yeah, that was a real close call.
And we get the Baron key from the top of Ordeals after PK has taken out Valvalis, and is just going to make quick work of Evil Bull.
And Prof. Corey serenades us with the Final Fantasy III flooded overworld theme, and is rewarded with a spoon for his efforts.
It's a key item.
Yeah, if we find an edge, we can deal some massive damage with it.
Let's face it, we're only going to see Sids.
Yeah, this is Sid percent. Pepper has spoken.
So PK is likely going to be taking a beeline to that Baron key. Still a little bit of a touch and go effort for his team for, say, something like Dwarf Castle or whatever else was in Feymarsh. I believe it was another Sparkle.
Yeah, there's another Sparkle. We see Silkwebs in Troya's item shop, and Corey selling some of the Aegis shields, which surprises me considering how powerful they can be.
And the only other option is Top of Tower and Top of Tower of Babel, and that isn't really appetizing either.
Yeah, Keyless Tower is not a popular play, but sometimes it does pay off. I think it's far more likely we're going to see PK hit over to Baron. Especially since we have an objective there that we haven't dealt with yet.
Yeah, so going to see what our second lunar boss of the area is. PK is going to give us a reprise of music. profcory, I think, is fading ordeals for as long as possible without having a Teller or a Cecil in the party.
Can't blame him. That is 3 bosses, and it takes a while. Can't exit out, so... Oh, hello, Wyvern.
Luckily for him, he's well anchored. He's got a fairly well equipped Seared, fairly well equipped Cane, and instantly finishes that off. Bygone in the second spot, though, this could be a little bit more dangerous, but Sid, I think, is hardy enough to get through this just himself.
Right, this is a physical attacking spot. It's not super fast, so as long as Rosa doesn't go down, this should be okay.
Yeah, 9,000 per hit through Cane. Yeah, this is 900 hit per hit from Cane. Yeah, this one won't be done. They're berserk. They're going to hit the arms occasionally, but yeah, this fight is done.
Yep, that arm is going to self-destruct if it makes it that far. It does not, and we will see if Professor Corey decides to take that extra Cane, or extra Sid, rather. But the real reward was not alluded to.
I'd check it. I would check it. Not having too much else in play apart from that ordeals. And you don't have to really do too much to just check what that item is. And you've already seen Threemus, so you don't need to worry about what boss. Yeah, just check it and just see see if you need it for later. If you can't, do the boss after.
Yeah, if you save outside, you're not going to lose too much time. But if it's something you need, you don't have a warp, so it's going to be a bit of a slog to get out. So, could go either way. And we see PK took a more conservative strategy against Plague, taking advantage of some scripting to make sure that the count is just refreshed when a character is revived, and also use that Flame Spear and Cane for extra damage against flying enemies.
It looked a bit hairy at one point there, though. I almost had everyone go down.
Oh yeah, it was a little sketchy in a moment there, but we've got our runners retracing our steps, and yeah.
profcory is just about to find the Baron key up the top of the Mount Ordeals.
Yes, and did go to Mount Hobbs to pick up that Tella.
So, other as a set, now it's just where are they going to find the moon access? Because they are going to need that at least in some part. But for even if they do only the top 3 objectives, they're still going to need that pass. But the Darkness Crystal is what they're really wanting, and that initiates the grind. That initiates its number 4 on the objectives. So PK is heading down to Baron, going to finish those 2 bosses for the objective number 2, and then likely going to head into Baron itself. I hope he's got his agility ready, because Wyvern might just get the Mega Nuke off straight up here.
Yep, there's the reset.
Yeah, Kane in the center there is not a good situation. Kane is extremely fast as a character, second only to Edge in terms of top speed when the levels get high. Well, Edward might be there as well, but Wyvern here is also fairly quick, so you're not going to get that Mega Nuke off, get past that net Mega Nuke too often with a fast anchor.
Even if this is a low stat spot, Mega Nuke is still Mega Nuke, and it's going to hurt a bunch.
That magic spot isn't as low as you might think, because it does have the Baron Guards, and they do need high enough magic to hit their spells, the mini spell and the piggy spell. So it's not as light on the magic as you might think.
Sure, but like compared to something, what's a CPU? I guess has ludicrous magic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not going to be ultra high, but it's usually enough for about 3,000 Mega Nuke, and that's usually more than your characters have throughout the entirety of the game.
And PK making quick work of that Baigan will soon be rewarded with that Sid and that Luca key.
His Kane is doing a lot of work. Having that black belt on him is actually boosting his damage output quite significantly.
That's right. Not only does strength increase the damage of individual attacks, but I believe it's every 8 points of strength you get an additional attack.
Yeah, and it helps with the strength. I believe helps with the accuracy as well. So definitely, accuracy is king in this game. More of those attacks that are hitting, the more you're going to do in damage.
So if you're a runner, where do you go next?
Baron Castle.
Oh, hey, there's a cursed ring in the Baron Armor Shop.
Yeah, Baron Castle first. Check, get through that. Peek the boss at the bottom of the Baron Throne, and if you can do it, do so. If not, come back to it later. At least you've got the information. After that, peeking that Luca key isn't a bad idea, because then you've got down to just what's in the underground, and with the curse ring it's a little bit more doable, but you still don't want to rely on this team right now, not without a few extra levels.
Right, and profcory does a little bit more looting, finds a Soma drop behind the weapons shop. That's going to be helpful for Tella, get him up to 100 MP, let him cast weak 4 times before needing a refill instead of 3.
So, having done a lot of the same sorts of checks just in different orders, our runners have evened up again. They've got the same sort of team. I think they've got a different SID to each other. I'm not sure if PK's picked up a SID yet, but they've got a similar team and they're in a similar location.
Yeah, I don't think PK has a SID yet, but we're about to find out for certain. Yeah, there is no SID yet, but
No
this'll
SID
be an
yet.
easy fight.
Teller does have weak, so weak the officer at the back, hit him once, maybe live glitch him for a little bit of extra infusion, or just kill the soldiers and call it a day. Who's the rudest boss we can think of on this throne? Golbez?
Yeah, I was gonna say Golbez would be pretty mean. We've already dealt with Wyvern, but no, it's Karate Man who has taken over Baron today.
No Cecil to make this trivial, but this fight isn't too bad. That Protect Ring will keep at least one of the characters alive. Kane's going to be fine in the back row. Teller, yeah. So yeah, this fight's not a problem at all.
Right, we don't have a Cecil to cheese this fight, but this fight is not very difficult to begin with at this spot.
And there goes Zhang. Well, Karate. profcory is just about to start that fight, and we get a look at the character in just a moment.
In before it's Sid number 6.
I'm thinking Yang.
That would entertain me. Oh, Cecil.
Do you want to Cecil under these conditions? Because we do have vanilla agility on, and we've got enough damage output with Kane and possibly a Sid. Do you
I
want
would
to
say
Cecil?
not yet. We don't have a good weapon for him.
Yeah.
I would not want to give up agility flexibility without at least a lightsaber.
Yeah, I completely agree. But that still has narrowed down the character checks by 1, and you don't like that. You still haven't really got a team that you're happy with right now.
Yeah, like, I am on team sometimes Cecil, but now is not the right time for Cecil.
There's a pass.
Never gonna say no to a pass.
Pass is an interesting little item. It gives you instant access to Zeromus. You don't need to go to the moon for it. But the thing that plays on people's minds is if you find it, at least under these, in this tournament, if you find it before you got the Darkness Crystal, and you're close to doing objectives like our 2 runners are, they've already got 2 out of 3. If they find the Legend Sword and the Adamant, they've got to go through some wonky grind strategies or take it easy. Or take the hard route with an alternative Zeromus fight.
No, and the true king of Baron is a water hag.
Yeah. So that could be on their minds if it go. I could lose this on an Edward strategy or a alternative Zeromus strategy that other people have been using lately.
Yeah, there's that 1200 HP strategy that I have not quite wrapped my head around yet. I think Zilt is largely responsible for that one.
He is, and I believe he's the only one that's done it in this particular tournament so far, at least that I've seen. But it's definitely something on the table, not with with the Teller really, and Rosa takes a while to get to that point, but there's still 2 SIDs available that can get there. And the true King of Baron gives you probably what might be the best shield in the game, actually.
Yeah, it has lower physical defense than some of the in-game shields, but I think it has the highest magic defense except for the crystal shield. And
Yeah,
it's around
and
as
it
all
gives
magic.
yeah, and it gives defense against mages, which isn't exactly bad to have. Sure, a dragoon shield can give you protection against elements, but you can get other equipment for that. The Aegis shield gives you protection against mages, which you can't find on a short-range fighter.
But I think this will be PK's first time seeing the Dark Knight, right? It was profcory who went in the first time?
No, I believe it was PK that saw it.
Ah, okay.
His hit points at this point, although they're better, they're still not perfect, because 360 to 420, I believe it was pointed out earlier, that's still 2 dark waves.
Yeah, Kane needs to get this Cure 2 off before the third Dark Wave, and should be able to survive now. Though
Yeah, but that does leave him with a Kane on low hit points for the start of the next fight. Ogo Pogo, anyone?
Oh, that would be rude. On the other hand, this would be a great time for Vanilla Golbez.
Yeah, on that hand it would be, but he might just have to take this next character, whoever it is, just because they want another...
we have an hourglass.
We do. Second Kane?
Golden Kane at that.
Second Kane isn't really what you want to see there, because he doesn't have a lot of hit points to start off with, only 190.
Oh, he's got this. Those Dark Imps... Oh! I was worried. I saw the first one hit for 7, and I thought it was
Wait,
fine.
we still might have a second lot. No, we don't have a second lot. Sometimes the spot is quick enough that the Dark Imps will get a second little go, but with Teller being the anchor, it's not happening this time. So this fight is in the bag.
By 2 hit points.
Yes, by 2 hit points, but it's in the bag.
As chat points out, it is 1 more hit point than you need.
profcory is going to be in a little bit of a easier spot with this, because his Sid should have more than enough hit points to survive 2.5. Oh, survive all 3. So as long as they're not all high rolls.
Yeah, Sid's gonna survive this, and we'll hopefully be able to pop that hourglass, and yeah, he's got plenty of hit points. He'll be fine.
Even gets a life up on that Rosa, so there's going to be a lot of experience going through, and more targets for those Dark Imps to hit. So that hourglass is definitely going to happen.
And we've got the Party Rock over on PK's side as the reward for those Dark Imps.
You know what I was saying about that pass and having all the objectives done before that Darkness Crystal? One step closer.
Yeah, that could totally happen. And we're going to get a treasury, we're going to get some character checks.
I think the only good side of that would be if they do find the Legend Sword and they do have to forge, it's an Excalibur for that Cecil that was found.
Yeah, I would go back and pick up that Cecil if we found an Excalibur. Well, forged an Excalibur. But PK's going to dive Luca, it looks like.
The options aren't really that nice, actually. It's Luca, which, granted, you want to check this because it's so far back, but if it's something you want, you still got to get through the boss. There's the top of tower, which you'd rather have the tower key to go and do, or there's that Lunar Sparkle in the Faymarsh, and we know it's either Pale Dim or Ogopogo. Two bosses you don't want to fight in that spot.
Yeah, I would not want to fight either of those because they do physical attacks, and that's a pretty high physical spot.
Profcory took a little bit longer just to make sure he got his life glitches off there, got both of them, and he's getting through that fight fairly simply.
Yes, we'll be rewarded with that Earth Crystal, and we'll see if he follows PK down into Luca Cave.
I guess we do have door grinds if we want it.
That is the best grind option we currently have access to.
Oh, we've got the curse ring, so we've got anchor possibilities.
Oh, that was not an exciting Luca Cave.
Well, if there's an edge, you might want to go back there for the Where are you going next, PK? Earth Crystal?
Looks like Earth Crystal.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant meant the adamant when we did dwarf. My apologies. Oh well, at least we get to play the other game.
Yep. Would you like to do the intro for this one?
I don't know if they've got it. Do they have it?
Raise that treasury!
They do.
The Protect Ring is nice, the Ninja Hats are nice.
Shall we just call that Ninja out of 10? Curse Ring doesn't really help since they've both got one. Crystal Armor, not really. Ninja Shirt doesn't really help. Yeah, not really anything there that really stands out.
Yeah, I think the Ninja Hat and the Protect Ring are the standouts. If only because the Ninja Hat is plus strength, plus vitality, plus agility. So it just makes your physical attackers better all around. Crystal Armor if we do end up taking that Cecil, but that's going to be entirely dependent on whether or not we forge, I think.
I suppose if you want to cover a cover person for that Lunar Sparkle in Faymarsh, which isn't a bad idea, that Crystal Armor could come in useful. But you really don't. You really hope that isn't the case.
We've got a question in chat about how key items are distributed. In this tournament, we have key items shuffled between vanilla key item locations, summon boss rewards, and lunar boss spots. And they can be shuffled anywhere amongst those as long as everything remains accessible, and spots that don't have a key item among them will instead have a high tier item.
There are other options as well, which you can do for it. You can place them into trap chests as well, which is fun to do. But there's also an option where you can make them unsafe, which means your way to the underground would be gated behind something on the moon as well, and that's fun as well. So there's a whole lot of customization which you might not expect, but we've got it there. It's for you to play around with. You can find it out on the main website, FF4FE.com.
Yes, one thing you pointed out that I neglected to mention is that by default you are able to access underground without having to go to the moon first.
Can you also not really too bad here. 9,000 hit points. It's not going to have a whole lot of power behind the waves, but it's still a sort of turtle you've got to get through. And yeah, Purim.
That is our second forum of the day, potentially a third depending on who is at the Sand Ruby. And that looks like another cane.
PK's
Yes.
going to have to make a decision soon. I
Yes.
feel.
And that is cane number 4 for the record.
Yeah, we still have that package character that no one's checked, but with all the characters that we've found, a decision has got to be made soon, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can only run around for so long with an incomplete party.
Especially if the Darkness Crystal is going to be found fairly soon, which I feel it is.
Yeah, we're running out of locations for that Darkness Crystal. This Calbrina spot is not going to be as trivial as it could otherwise be, because we've already spent our hourglass to deal with the Dark Imps, so depending how this goes, we could see the combined form, but never mind, we just threw a lit bolt and dealt with the whole encounter at once.
Yeah, Lit Bolt, because the hit points of that spot is split 7 ways, with the dolls having a very small share of that, really. Yeah, that Lit Bolt is fine to just finish it up very quickly. profcory has made his decision, though.
Yeah, I think I saw a form get accepted there.
Yeah.
And there's our Sand Ruby.
So, if that's a Palom in there, could we see profcory reset? For that?
I would reset for a Palom if I was in this run right now. Oh no, one of those cows survived.
Yeah, but Sid's with Sid's
that is a
blocking the
Palom.
No, that's a Palom.
Looks like an orange cape.
Yeah, is it? I thought it was. If it's on the right, it's Palom. If the but I always get them backwards, so. If it is a Palom, I'm surprised that PK didn't pick him up. Unless he's thinking the same as I am and thinking that's actually Palom, without actually checking it. Which really is a bit of a mistake, if just not checking to make sure if you're not 100% certain who it is.
Well, profcory, meanwhile, gonna go find that ninja sword as PK ascends the tower.
profcory is probably not going to even check that Sand Ruby, even if they didn't check it earlier. They've got their team set now. They might just say, "This is what I've chosen. I'm going to go with it. We'll see what happens." We are down to 2 spots though. PK is checking one of them, and that's Dark Elf at the top of the Tower of Babel.
And we also now know that it is the Baron Guards as the vanilla Rubicon spot. I can words.
Yeah, a free boss off the table, although you're not really too worried to see that gone, because it still can be an annoying fight. So let's say that this Dark Elf isn't the way to the moon through the Darkness Crystal. It's a 50-50 shot, really, at this point, unless there's a chain behind it. How do they deal with Pale Dim or Ogopogo?
We have not found illusions yet, have we?
I don't believe so, no. We do have two sets of Blink with Rosa and Teller.
Man, I do not know. I would really not want to fight either of them right now, with an incomplete party and gear that I'm not happy with.
Yeah,
Door grind is an option, I guess.
Yeah, even this fight at the top of the tower isn't trivial because of the way PK's got his team at the moment. Having just the 3 characters means that Dark Elf is going to get a lot of turns very quickly. It's not the highest hit point spot, it's not the highest attack or magic spot, but it's still going to be way too quick for him to really keep on top of.
Right. The magic power doesn't matter as much when he's casting weak and reducing you to single-digit hit points anyway. The most annoying thing, though, is the pig status, and rendering your mages unable to do their thing.
Yeah, but when he gets to the dragon phase, those punches are going to come out, and those dragon breaths are going to come out. Dragon breath is percentage based. The punches will be a little bit weakened. That Kane should be able to handle them, but
yeah, and it's Berserker Kane against the Dark Dragon at this point. That deep breath is not very strong, so we might be able to pull this off.
Yeah, it's only 10%, but it's the punches in between which I think is going to be fine. So he should get through this okay. Just not as okay as PK was probably hoping.
Saw a very heads-up play recently where a runner went and purchased ruby rings to make the fight against Dark Elf easier. Turns out ruby ring protects against pig.
It does. Well, that leads to the rat tail. And a character check if PK wants to go and do that.
And it's 10 key items.
There's that as well.
Almost certain that we're going to go and check that rat tail before we go and deal with our moon boss.
Yeah, and if it doesn't turn out to be the darkness crystal, we might see some doors being opened. And I would like to go back a little bit on what I said earlier. Yeah, we had that teller, and I did go on a little bit about it being sort of a downer point for the seed. But the fact that darkness crystal has been so buried has made up for it quite a lot. So this has been a more fascinating seed than I was actually expecting. We're an hour in. We've had two objectives done for the runners for say 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, about that.
And they've just been running over each other, trying to find out where this way forward is going to be. Is it going to be the Adamant and Legend Sword, which we know it's likely not going to be before the Darkness Crystal now, or is it going to be the Darkness Crystal? There you go. So we know what our route is now. We're going to the moon. We're going to do some sort of grind. We're going to do that ribbon room, and then we're going to Threemus.
Yep, and Bishop PK is going to head to Mysidia, not just to race the Lunar Whale, but also to fill out his party.
Yeah, it's decision time for PK now. Who does he take? Is he going to pick up that Cecil and use him as the agility anchor while getting maybe a Sid and a Kane for damage output?
I really don't know. You've got Tella on as a potential agility anchor, and that's kind of his only real use during his Aromas fight.
Yeah, but he's useful for Berserk here in the Zymus fight.
Yeah,
he can't. He usually doesn't be able. He isn't able to usually throw the crystal and get a Berserk out in the first round before he goes down. But having fighters, you're wanting that source of Berserk for that case, would Porum come into play? We're not the one with the answer though. PK, what are you going to do?
Both of our runners in go mode at this point. profcory will make up a little bit of time, I think, because he doesn't have to go and fill out his party in the Tower of Bushes. He can just raise the Lunar Whale and go.
PK's just checked the character and exited. Package?
Could be package.
Moon.
Moon.
He really wants a black mage now. I feel that's what he's looking for. He's looking for a black mage. Rydia, Palom, either one will do just fine. Heck, even Young, I think, might be on his radar for picking up right now.
I really like Young on these flags. He does not require much in the way of equipment, so you just give him levels and he's good to go.
Yeah, especially at this stage where all you're going to do is give him a whole bunch of levels, give him that big buff of hit points and attack power. He's going to do just fine at Threemus.
And chat discussing again which character we had in Kaipo, and I'm pretty sure it was Palom. We just saw a Porum facing up when Cory was turning in the rat tail, and it was not the same color as what we saw in the Kaipo bed. But looks like PK took that Rosa.
Rosa's serviceable here, definitely. In the same veins as Porum would be, which he hasn't shown. A little bit more hit points, or it's a little bit easier to manage than Porum is. So I expect another fighter to be picked up here, likely a second Kane, if someone isn't good for this point for the package. Unless he's going to pick up that Palom now.
Looks like he's going to check that Sand Ruby, and we will know conclusively which twin it is. Yes, that is indeed a Palom.
So PK is ready. PK is going to go and do their grind now. profcory is on their way in just a moment. They've already done the manipulation for what's likely going to be D-Machines.
Yeah, I think D-Machine is the most likely grind for both of them at this point. They have Tella, they have mages. All you really care about is levels.
Yeah, and PK still needs to do his manipulation. So advantage profcory at this moment in time.
But it is in no way decisive. It could go either way.
Yeah.
Shall we talk a little bit about the manipulation we've been referring to?
I don't know a whole lot about it, to be perfectly honest.
All right,
so go ahead, and I'll chime in where I can.
Sure. So, in previous events and most gameplay of this game, you're able to run from encounters. So the common way we will set up a manipulation to find this D-Machine encounter in the Giant of Babel is we'll go up in there, we'll save at the save point, reset, turn on encounters, and do some step counting to manipulate the RNG into giving us the encounter we want. This tournament has can't run turned on, so you can't run away from those encounters. So some enterprising members of our community have done some research and figured out a way that you can manipulate the encounter table using Baron. And again, using some step counting, you can figure out what your next encounter is going to be and where, and let you get that D-Machine fight inside the Giant in a specific room in a specific number of fights.
Yeah. When encounters are turned off, that does stop all encounters. So, and it stops the step route where it is. So, no matter what you do, as long as you don't get into another encounter or say a boss fight or reset your game, you will be on the same encounter table for as long as you want until you get up to the giant, into the room you want.
Right. So why do we want to fight D-Machines? What's so great about them?
They are probably the best source of experience in the game. D-Machines they give around 64,000 experience, I believe, per one, and they are weak, strangely enough, to the spell weak. So if one is summoned from this searcher here, which it should be, a teller will cast weak. Someone else, weak will put it to single-digit hit points. Someone else will hit it for enough to destroy it, and then what we call the life glitch or the vitality zero glitch means that they, when you use a life potion on it, they will come back to life with 0 hit points, die again, and you'll get double that experience. And do this enough, because the searcher will keep summoning them, you get 1,000,000 experience very, very quickly.
Yes, but this is a late game area. Why aren't our parties just going to die immediately?
Because the D-Machine doesn't actually do that much. Its main attack is a percentage-based attack. This fire will only do 20% of your health in your maximum health in damage, and the only time it actually does a physical attack is if you hit it yourself. So there is the chance that an ill-timed attack could ruin your manipulation of this particular fight, but as long as you keep it safe and secure, you're fine.
Exactly. So because you can control when the next D-Machine is summoned, this is pretty safe. You can take as much time as you need to heal up between D-Machines, and it's one encounter. You can take advantage of our slingshot mechanics and get a whole lot of XP on your low-level characters very quickly.
Yeah, some runners have just decided to make it a little bit more safer on their part by blinking Teller, because a punch on Teller from the ill-timed attack would usually mess it up completely, and you'd find yourself wiping out to it. There's also ways to speed Teller up to make sure your timings are correct with the Hermes sandals or using the fast spell. And, well, other than that, just keep yourself healthy. Sometimes that is enough.
But before we can fight these D-Machines, we do need to take care of these Beamers, which have about 2,000 health. And like the D-Machine, are susceptible to the weak spell.
Yeah, they're also weak to thunder weaponry. Their machines, so weak to thunder weaponry, thunder attacks as well. The Earth Hammer that Sid is rocking will also do extra damage to that. But once they're down, and they also only do 10% of your max damage in their attacks as well. So once they're down, get yourself lined up, get yourself ready. Here come the D-Machines. This does take a little bit of time though, so I just want to give a shout out to our backroom team with Neobari on the restream today, Maggie the cat on tracking, and Pixel Tamer as well being beside me during this race. And please follow these runners. They've put on an exceptional show for us today, as they've taken little bits of different routes, but they're both here together. This is a real big race to the finish. This could be a nail biter.
Yep, and don't forget Antidale's cat Pepper, who rolled the seed for us. Although I don't think cats are allowed to have Twitch accounts, so you probably can't follow them.
I'm pretty sure they make occasional appearances on Antidale's stream, so follow Antidale. You might find Pepper.
But while our runners are grinding, we've got 2 more races on Restream tonight. Times about to read off are in Eastern Daylight Time, GMT -4. Here on Free Enterprise, we've got Possum Morpheus versus Flurry 14 at 7 o'clock. And then on Randomania, we're going to have Invenerable against Infinius at 9 p.m.
And excellent timing, because now profcory is done. Only needed a few D machines. That's a million experience, by the way. Purim is going to be shot to the high 50s, maybe even get to 62. It's going to be enough for Rosa to be having a load of hit points. Sid and Kane are going to be well on their way to doing a lot of damage. Off to the moon.
Yep. Yeah, that Purim is level 64. She actually has enough hit points to survive a Big Bang. This is not common.
This is what you want from a Purim. A good slingshot on her is absolutely amazing. She'll have white. She'll have a fair amount of fair amount of wisdom behind her. So her white spells are actually going to do a fair amount of damage, and we might see a few reflected whites in the Threemus fight.
Yeah, I'm expecting some kind of hybrid strategy. Since we don't have stellar weapons for our fighters, could even go full reflect depending.
I wouldn't want to risk that, because just two whites, two casters using white is a little dangerous. Reflex strategy, hybrid strategies are really the best way to go here.
Yeah, if it was two nuke casters, it'd be a lot easier, since nuke is significantly faster than white to cast.
Yeah. PK though is definitely going to go full reflex strats with two Rosas and a Palom. So there's going to be a divergence in their Threemus fights. PK's is going to be slightly quicker, but profcory's got the lead. So this is tight. It all comes down to who's at this vanilla ribbon room, and what are they going to do?
Yeah, you're right. This is still anyone's game. So, what obnoxious boss are we hoping for? We talked about Golbez earlier. Who else could be really mean?
Golbez is probably the worst one, because in that spot, I don't think he's got enough magic power to really attack himself enough before the walls wear off from a Star Veil. So that, I think, is going to be the most rude. So you're going to want some extra damage in that, and Sid and Kane don't really have a whole lot to give if they go down and have to be got back up and without berserks.
Yep, chat pointing at Alt Gauntlet as an option.
Alt Gauntlet is annoying, yep. It's not really that bad because there is weak and there's a few additional things. You only have to get through the first 3 fights before the last 2 are free, because the last 2 are just triggers.
Yeah, the trigger is such a strange enemy. What happens if you hit it with lightning anyway? I honestly have never tried.
The trigger will then say thank you very much because it absorbs lightning. Actually, no, it doesn't absorb. It is weak to lightning. It will then say thank you very much, and then proceed to cast Lit Free on your entire team for unsplit damage.
That's pretty rude.
Very, very fast. You will be downed in a fair amount of them, about 3. So yeah, you don't do it unless you want to know what it does. Feel free to go and do it. Yeah, they will love it. They will even thank you for it. They're that polite.
Yeah, I've never tried it because their name is Trigger, and they're telling you to cast lightning on them.
Yep. Other than that, there's not really too many bosses here that could really prove a problem for our teams.
Somebody called CPU.
That's one of them.
This is going to be annoying for a mage party because the main body likes to
Yeah.
cast Reflect on itself all the time.
Yeah, profcory is going to have the easier time with two physical damage dealers here. PK might very well be going with what is referred to as the float strategy, where you reflect one of your characters and then reflect float back onto the enemy, and hopefully it hits the attacker. So Quake can still hit the main body of the CPU.
Right. Despite appearances, the CPU is not a flying type enemy.
Alternatively, there is the blink strategy, which might come into play here. Just berserk that cane, blink up the attacker, have to deal with the attacks, but two roses with cure 4s will be fine for that.
That's an option. I haven't tried it yet, but it just seems risky. But sometimes you've got to make those risky plays if you want to win, I guess.
There comes the Star Veil on top Rosa, so we may be seeing float come out by either Teller or Rosa next. Or could be doing a bit of both.
Looks like second Rosa is going to bounce a white off of first Rosa.
Okay.
Bold strategy.
This is playing the gamble game.
Oh wow, we are going full reflect against CPU. This is bold.
Yeah. There's 1 out of 1.
Getting very lucky with
2 out of 2
reflects so far. It's incredible. Never mind.
Palom, you're letting the team down.
So what happens next? What horrible fate awaits PK?
Damage.
And I think
9999's damage.
Yes, and I think that Rosa may have mistargeted Kane with the white just now.
Maybe not. Maybe he just wants the white to kill Kane so the berserk doesn't continue.
Or I didn't see the targeting.
Palom, there's your just desserts.
Yes, Pelham has been influenced by the CPU.
But then again, with these whites being reflected now, they can only hit the CPU. So there you go. That very bold old strategy, but
it paid off.
It did.
Do you think he's even going to bother checking those two chests?
Probably just to see if it's a good weapon for Kane. I doubt he'll use the weapon in the Threemus fight, but Crystal Ring
nice
actually...
fight.
Yeah, Crystal Ring is very nice.
Oh, and he's just going for it. Not taking that safety save.
This is what we call the swag walk. But we've got a little bit of something coming up. We've got the Threemus fight, and we don't move him because we can't be bothered. We're too lazy.
The randomizer, we can change him.
Yeah, we're just too lazy to actually move him, so we just change his appearance every now and then. And usually we're really surprised at how much good work Scarlet Kitty has done to it. And we have a question to ask. So, Pixel Tamer.
Something to the extent of, whose butt are we going to kick this afternoon? It's 3 p.m. where I am, so it's this afternoon.
I completely agree. profcory is a little bit behind, not having as much luck on this as PK was able to eke out for himself. So has lost a bit of time in this, but I'm sure this fight will get through fairly soon, and then he'll be on his way to see what he's facing in Threemus. So throw that crystal, Teller. Show us the true form of our opponent tonight.
profcory is now in mode, has gotten through that CPU. Will be joining us in the final boss fight very quickly.
Threemus. The world ends with you, I believe it is, from...
That might be right. That does look like World's End with You art style. The question is, do we have any good pins?
Well, the only good pins that I can think of are all the pins that are in the Discord to give people advice on how to do things in this randomizer. Do those count?
I'll take it. They don't deal damage directly, but they do help you deal damage.
Yeah, just like Teller. This is going to be a fairly straightforward fight, though. We're PK. Wall up on Kane. Here come the whites. Here come the nukes. Teller's going to stand around and maybe cast Virus once for 100 damage. Unlikely, but and Kane's just going to go, I've got this axe, why can't I swing it? And that's because if you get over a certain threshold for Threemus or Threemus, you will trigger his counter strip and he will heal up to full. You don't want that.
Right. Threemus is intended to have over 100,000 hit points, but the Super Nintendo is a 16-bit console. It can only count up to about 65,000 by default. So instead of trying to implement big integer math, the way the developers did Threemus and a couple other boss locations is an HP refill script, where as a counterattack to getting hit at a certain HP threshold, it will do a refill once.
And that's around 44,000, I believe. So it's got plenty of time, so you can't hit it for over 9,999, and you can't bypass that normally, except that reflected spells don't trigger that counter script, so you do bypass it. profcory will have to go through the hard way, though, dealing damage fully, but even that with Kane and Sid as damage dealers, it's going to take a little bit longer, but it's going to happen. Just got to be careful with hit points with the big bangs at times, but that's something he's not actually going to be worrying about. Now, he's got plenty of hit points on everyone.
Yeah, for flex strats, you usually only see one or two big bangs if you've got enough damage output. Given that white takes longer to cast than nuke, it's more likely we're going to see that second one, but probably not going to see the third.
Yeah, and plenty of healing available as well with Porum and Rosa, both having Cure 4, both having fairly good gear. Yeah, the front lines are just going to keep swinging. The back lines are going to keep alternate cast white and the occasional Cure 4.
Oh, there's a flash.
But we do have a winner. pk4787 has won with a time of 1 hour, 26 minutes, 12 seconds, and I do believe he's just poked his head through the door.
Yeah, I see a PK. How's it going? GG.
Thank you. That was quite the race.
Yeah, so you coming in from a tie, and do you know how close this fight was? This fight between you and profcory was until that CPU.
I mean, I naturally assumed that best case. I mean, first off, let me say profcory is phenomenally fast, and I assumed at that point, best case, we were like dead even, considering all of the non-darkness crystal things I found throughout that seed.
I can definitely say yes. You went in slightly different routes, but yes, you were pretty much going to the. You were on your rides at the same time. You went to Moon with very little time between each other. It was just that CPU fight that puts you out in front and gives you the victory.
Yeah,
Yep.
very bold strategy doing Reflect against CPU.
I saw Zilch in the chat as I was Tom Sawyering the last 15 minutes or so, and when I got pulled in here, I was just saying it to Prof. Corey. I am a big proponent of YOLO CPU strats, which comes down to what you saw, which is like hopefully this works. But otherwise, it doesn't work. I'll pick up the pieces if it doesn't work. We'll see.
Well, it definitely paid off because you were behind going into CPU, and then you came out just ahead enough that you got into the room about a minute earlier than your opponent.
And with reflect strategies available to you, that Threemus fight wasn't too problematic, really.
No, on battle speed, I think a lot of people with the two white casters, like I am of the, just go battle speed 4 and you're guaranteed to get through it. There's no, I am going to take that Z fight safer with two white casters and a nuke caster just for the sake of it. I had a decent amount of hit points. I figured, I could have survived a second Big Bang, but just slow that fight down as much as possible and just let the cast go off. Let Tella get one virus cast, I figured when Teller survived and got that virus off, I was through.
Yeah, that was pretty epic. The swag walk after the swag CPU definitely was a bit hype.
I do have one sort of question. When you got the Sand Ruby, you went and saw the Sand Ruby character, and there was Palom. We wasn't too sure if you knew it was Palom and didn't pick it up, or just because you went out and then went back to it later. So it's a bit confusing why you didn't pick it up to pick up in Mysidia later.
I hadn't even gone to Mysidia at that point, so I really wasn't aware of all of the characters that I might end up with. And to be honest, I saw it kind of just gut reaction, like I can't use Palom right now, I'm getting out of here. In retrospect, it probably would have been faster to just grab the Palom. But it's also the cutscene gives you a full heal. So while it was, it probably didn't save me any time exiting out right then, grabbing Palom as my last character, getting the full heal on the cutscene, and then heading over to Baron to set up the manip, at least saved me having to sleep in the whale. So I figured, worst case, I have to go back and grab Palom. Best case, whoever's at Mysidia and on the moon is who I end up with. Because I was still sort of like, well, if I find two Yangs, I'll just do that against Threemus,
And we are joined by our second place finisher as well, Prof. Corey, finishing at 129.54. GG.
GG, thank you.
GG's.
Prof. Corey, did you realize how close it was when you were going into the CPU fight?
I imagined that it was even at best, but I felt behind just because I did nearly everything before I found the darkness crystal, but I understand PK felt the same way, so I was hoping it was close at least.
Yeah, you were slightly ahead going into CPU.
Feels like there might be a reason why we ended up tying the last time we raced.
You think so? There's nothing that's close between you two. It's night and day. Hey, I'm pretty certain. Of course not. You're both great runners. That first tie was deserved. This one was close enough. We were almost worried that it might be a second time. We'd have to do this again. And as I said beforehand, it would have been a bake-off.
We might have tied at that too. It sounds like Prof. Corey wasn't super strong on their baking skills either.
Yep. Yeah, that CPU fight, I think the strat I went with just didn't do me any favors. The blinking and zerking sounded better in my head than it actually was. It just took forever and felt like I was a little bit unlucky, although I hit a few hits on the main CPU body down the stretch of the fight. I thought about trying to do the reflect strats, which is what I understand PK ended up doing, but I just thought of it too late. You probably saw me throw the star veil, and then immediately the CPU died, and I was like, oh, well, never mind that then.
Right. How did the two of you feel about the characters in the seed? We had 5 Sids and 4 Canes at last count.
It was interesting for sure. I don't mind Sid and Kane too much, and you guys saw me take one of each fairly early on. I don't mind bringing them along my party. I think just smoothing out the overworld is a strategy that works for me at least. But then when it kept coming up Sid, Kane, Sid, I was a little more concerned.
Yeah, for a hot minute there, I was thinking to myself, how much damage are 2 Zerk Sids after being slingshot gonna do with Ogre Axes against Aromas? Like, I was trying to picture that fight in my head in case we ended up with early darkness, and it like every single time I tried to picture it, my brain was like, "You're not doing that. Like, please don't do that. No one wants to see that."
It's not as bad as you might think, but you do need some heavy strength boosting gear on Sid. The Ogre Axes aren't quite enough, but with a cup, maybe a black belt, which we saw, or PK, you pick one up in Feymarsh, and a black belt on each of them might not be too bad. Maybe high 2000s per swing, so it's possible. Not something you'd really want to do though.
Yeah, it would have been slow, but probably safe considering Sid's great HP growth.
Yeah.
Yep.
6,000 HP Sids, and the Rosa can probably get through most any Aromas Big Bang.
So, do we have any last words that you're thinking about this seed, or are you just happy that you want to get this over with and move on? I know PK, you've got 5 and 1 record now, so you're almost assured the top 16. And profcory, you've got a little bit further to go, but you're with a 1 and 1 at the moment. You've still got a few to go, but hopefully you can get there.
Yeah, I mean, first off, obviously, GG profcory. I think everyone would agree when they say that maybe not. Some people who watch from the sidelines are as familiar with you, but I certainly knew that this was at best on my side an even race, as we proved. profcory beat Penguinator, who beat me, so in the triangle we all have a win and a loss to each other. And I am looking forward to having a week to try to let my heart rate settle. But once again, GG. Thanks, Pixel and Poidrak for the commentary, Neobari with the restream, and Maggie, as always, with the clicking. They are phenomenal, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's next.
Well, next up in 40 minutes, actually, is Possumorpheus versus Flurry back here on Free Enterprise.
The ride never ends.
The ride does not end. But we've got 2 more races tonight, 4 more races tomorrow. So again, 40 minutes from now, we've got Possumorpheus and Flurry here on Free Enterprise. Inven versus Infinius at 9 p.m. on Randomania. Again, Eastern Daylight Time, GMT -4. And then tomorrow, Pankraz and McBain at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Free Enterprise. Frostbite versus Dragus on Randomania 2 at 8 p.m. Silverfire and Antidale at 9 p.m. on Randomania Prime. And then we're going to have Dia versus Zilch at 9 or just a little bit afterwards for another doubleheader on Free Enterprise.
Lots of amazing races. We've been truly blessed throughout this entire way to the Threemus Zone. We've had a lot of good races. We've had both on and off of the Restream platform. We're going to be looking forward to a whole lot more coming up.
Yes, shoutouts to the community for coming together and volunteering and making all these restreams possible.
So we're going to leave you off. I do believe we're going to be heading over to Wef Jebster, who's doing some Edward percent. So if you like Edward, you know where to go. With us, over
Yes.
to him.
And one last reminder, please do not talk about the race outside of the spoiler channel. There are going to be people who want to check out that VOD. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.
Have a good evening, everyone.